Hello and welcome. Today's project is all about health anxiety. What is health anxiety and what makes up the personality? What traits make up the personality of somebody who is suffering from health anxiety? This is really important because it'll help you move yourself from this unknown territory of what could this be? I don't know anything about my body and what's happening to a place of some known territory. And that's what this video is going to help you do. So if you have somebody you know suffering from health anxiety, please share this video with them. It'll help them move to a more known territory because they're stuck in chaos. And the first thing I really want to talk about is anxiety. What is health anxiety? And health anxiety is the constant rumination over one's health, and it's the uncertainty that keeps the person stuck in anxiety. This one symptom could mean a whole host of symptoms, and it gets worse when you definitely Google the symptom, because on Google what happens is you find an infinite amount of possibility, and the more possibilities that are out there, the more uncertainty there is, and so the more anxious you become. And I recommend that you go to the doctors if you're ruminating over something that is uncomfortable, you're really concerned about it, go to the doctor. But here's the thing, when I used to suffer from health anxiety, I would go to the doctor multiple times because I would go, and for example, I would say I have a UTI. The doctor comes back. The doctor says, "No, you don't. But I'm going to give you these medications anyways." And that made me confused because I was certain that it was this thing, because I'm in my mind, I'm trying to make the symptom into something. That's why health anxiety sufferers attach certain outcomes to symptoms, because they want to make it known, right? That's a sign that you want to make it known, is that it could be anything, but if I say it's kidney disease, then I'm making it into something, right? But when you go to the doctors and the doctor says everything checks out, it's not a UTI, okay, that blows out that idea, and now I have to figure out what else it could be, right? So it opens the doors to the uncertainty. So in that moment, I felt good that it's not a UTI, but it blew out the doors to the many possibilities of what else it could be, and that made me feel like I was unique, that nobody knew what I was going through. The doctor doesn't know what it is. I don't know what it is. My parents don't know. My partner doesn't know. So I don't know where I stand, and I'm stuck in this anxiety state, and that's debilitating. So I hope that this video helps you to move yourself from this complete unknown into some known territory of, oh, it's anxiety. I just have to learn more about what this health anxiety is all about. So the first trait that makes up someone with health anxiety, the main one I would say, is obsessing. Constant rumination, constant focus, constant attention on a particular body part sensation. Typical ones would be the heart palpitations, the dizziness, the lightheadedness, the strange moles, the strange pains, the irritable bowel syndromes, the digestive issues, the confusion, the shallow breathing. For me, it was one of the big ones was urinating and constant alertness of the discoloration of the urine, and any sort of discoloration would send me into extreme anxiety. So it was this constant focus, right? And so when you are focusing on a particular symptom or sensation, what happens is you're moving it up your values hierarchy, because you see what you aim at. So if you're aiming at this symptom and the many potentials of what it could be, then you're going to keep that at the forefront, and then every other thing in your life gets put on the back burner, right? All that other information gets put on the back burner, and you're focus. Like everything else becomes irrelevant. So when you're out at a get together, you don't care what other people are saying. You're not trying to improve your social skills. You're focusing on that damn sensation or feeling because you're trying to understand what it is and make it into something known to you, right? Trying to figure out that uncertainty. So you're keeping it at the forefront of your mind. And that's just going to keep your anxiety alive. And a great indicator of whether or not you're suffering from health anxiety is by asking yourself, am I constantly paying attention to something, a part of my body, a symptom, a feeling, all the time? Because if you are obsessing about a particular thing, then it's a great indicator that you have health anxiety and that your anxiety response is active. And since your anxiety response is active, that is producing a lot of bodily sensations because your body is tense, right? Your body's not worried about digesting food or getting food because there's a threat out there, and so your body is compromising a lot of functions to respond to a perceived danger. And so your body's producing a whole host of different symptoms and sensations. And those symptoms and sensations are, are there, and then now that you're focused and hyper focused over it, that's keeping the loop going and going and going. And so when I was going through my recovery journey, I noticed and I became aware that my unconscious was doing whatever it could do to make myself more aware that I was, my unconscious was making me more aware of my own mortality as I was getting older and being stuck in this anxious state, because not only were things building and building, like baggage, emotional baggage was building, my unconscious was saying to me, hey, there's a lot of unresolved emotional issues here that you need to confront, but also that I was repressing and suppressing the idea of my own mortality, that, if I don't overcome this challenge that I'm facing, I could worsen my health later on in my life. And then time played a factor in there as well, where, going through my mid-20s, time was hitting me over the head. My unconscious was hitting me over the head saying, Brad, time is passing you by. The more you stay stuck in this anxiety and this pain and suffering, the more you are going to remain in this unhealthy state and potentially be more unhealthy in the future. So that's like the Peter Pan story where Captain Hook is being chased by time, the thing that the crocodile with the clock in its stomach, the time that can devour you. It can take a piece of you. It took a piece of Captain Hook, and time was taking a piece of me. Not only it was taking up all this productive time that I could have been spending elsewhere, but it was also taking away my health, taking away my relationships, right? And so then when I started my recovery journey, I started to use time to my advantage. I started to say to myself, if I took a year to overcome my anxiety and work so diligently and persevere through this recovery, then it could benefit me in the future by, I won't have to suffer anymore. And I was starting to use time on my side, that if I sacrifice all of these habits now, the future Brad could benefit, that Brad could live a more peaceful, spiritual, comfortable, and secure lifestyle, but also he can be more confident. He could be this person that I always wanted to become, right? And so using time to your advantage is really, really important and crucial for anxiety recovery. The second trait of a health anxiety sufferer is that they avoid places. Now, avoiding places is only going to make things worse, because what happens is the more you avoid places that are making you anxious, the more the threat grows and you shrink in size. So if you go to the mall, you have a panic attack and you run away from the environment, the threat grows. Your association between the environment and the feelings that you got during that time in the environment grow and grow and grow. And it gets to the point where the more you start to avoid those environments, the more you make that into a threat, and the more it grows in size, and the more you shrink. And it gets worse, because then when you go back into the environment, your amygdala, the fight, flight, or freeze response, your anxiety response, what it does then is it says, remember what happened last year. It's making associations. Remember what happened last year. You ran away. The act of running away indicates that the place you're in is no good, and that it could cost you your life. So what happens to overcome anxiety, what you have to do is then start to make associations between the environment and safety. So you have to stay in the environment and show the amygdala that this place isn't a threat, that it's actually safe. It won't kill you. So avoiding places is a huge trait, personality trait of a health anxiety sufferer. The last trait I want to talk about in this video is dependency, being a dependent person. I was a very dependent person suffering from anxiety, because what I would do was I would talk about my symptoms and sensations to my parents. I would be dependent on my doctor for reassurance, dependent on my fiance for reassurance, being dependent on food for comfort, also dependent on my safe zone, being at home for comfort. I was like a puppet to my emotions, right? I didn't have any control. I feel out of control. I felt out of control when I was suffering from anxiety. But the thing is, being in that dependent state, it satisfies to some degree in the moment the fears and the insecurities that you may have, but in the long run, the future you will be harmed from that dependency. So you want to start to live a lifestyle where the future you could benefit from what you do today. What can you sacrifice today in order for the future you to grow and improve, right? So sacrificing that junk food, or sacrificing that time with friends, or time in front of the TV and on social media. Those are big ones that distract you, that block out the pain and suffering from within you, because a lot of health anxiety sufferers, they can't be with themselves. As soon as the TV shuts off, as soon as they go into bed, what happens? It's just them and their own mind. So what happens? The dragon comes out from under the bed. And what do you do when the dragon comes out? And at night the monsters come out, because there's no distractions. So many people suffering from health anxiety, they watch TV all night. They don't get a good night's sleep. And the lack of sleep, it worsens their anxiety. They start to hallucinate even more about their symptoms and whether or not they have that, or I would say whether or not, but whether they do have that actual physical illness. And they start to actually see it with their own eyes. Themselves, like the images of themselves having that particular illness. So those are the traits that make up someone with health anxiety. I hope that this video helped you to understand that you may have some of these traits, or I hope that it has led you into some new known territory away from the total chaos that you were in. And that was my goal. So thank you for being here with me today. And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next video or podcast. Bye for now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so that whenever a new video of mine appears, you will be one of the first to know. Namaste.